Hello, everybody. I am joined today by Steve Lasiewicz, who is the head of the SBA program for Busey Bank. Steve has been a previous guest on the M&A Unplugged show, and I thought this would be a very appropriate time, given that it's March 18th. We're in the middle of dealing with the COVID crisis, and many people every day are asking, what's happening from a lender perspective, what's happening with the banks. And I thought, who better than to give us an update than one of the best bankers I know from an SBA perspective. So Steve, welcome this morning.
Domenic, thanks for having me.
Uncertain times. I woke up this morning grappling with the question of, is this 2008 all over again? You and I lived through 2008. We survived it, right? It was hard, but we got through it. A week ago, I wouldn't have said this was 2008. Today, I don't know. I feel it's feeling a little bit like that.
It definitely does. I think it's going from a virus state to a financial state, just because I think the economy's starting to hit it, just because of closing down of bars and restaurants, closing down of larger manufacturing facilities. And when that happens, it's not only going to be a disease virus issue, it's going to be a financial issue for, banks, institutions, and companies that are out there.
Yeah. I heard this morning that unless we take immediate, swift, and drastic action, we could be looking at unemployment rates that are definitely double digits. And just this morning, I was listening to CNBC, and Marco Rubio was on and talking about a package that would maybe provide interest-free, no-payment loans for businesses for 12 months if they put the funds towards payroll, and then potentially a year later converting that into a grant if all the monies were used for payroll and those businesses, are healthy. I know it's just a proposal at this point in time, but I'm glad that people are talking about that sort of thing so that we can keep people working, keep businesses, solvent and on their feet through this crisis.
Yeah, no, and Marco Rubio has definitely been the leader behind the SBA and putting programs in place and trying to get programs in place to help out the small businesses.
Certainly highlights something that you and I have known for many years, which is how important the SBA is to small and medium-sized businesses. It's a tremendous resource for our communities and the nation, and I think it's being highlighted even more right now.
Yeah, no, and small business employees, I think, more than 50% of the U.S.
Yeah.
So in order to support them, the program was put in place, years ago to basically help out small businesses.
Yeah.
And, they're the first ones to basically step up with potential programs for the small businesses to get through this tough time.
Yeah. So Steve, let's start with Busey Bank. If you could share with everybody what's, Busey's current position, where are you at? And we understand that, this is a fluid situation. So this is a moment in time. This is, these comments need to be taken in context. Every day is a new day right now. So, but currently, what's Busey's position as it relates to SBA lending, both for, existing businesses that need working capital and then new business acquisitions, which I want to point out in the crisis, in the Great Recession of 2008, we saw tremendous pressure from people who needed new business acquisition loans because they had lost their jobs, investor groups who wanted to buy assets, and we had lost lending. And so interested to hear how Busey is approaching those.
Yeah, so, as of today's
March 18th.
March 18th, what we're basically asking customers, so we're getting, numerous phone calls coming in, customers asking for funds for payroll, for getting through this tough times. And a lot of the customers, when we're asking them specifically about what's going on with their businesses, the specific questions, specific answers are coming back is, I don't know, nothing's really happening yet. but we want to be prepared for what potentially is out there. So they're asking us for potential assistance before they even know that there's a problem out there. I think people are anticipating it, and it's good. It's good that they're anticipating these things, but some of the things that I've been asking them, and kind of some of the things that we're saying here at Busey Bank for our customers is, what else are they doing besides calling the bank asking for more money? So what approach are they taking internally to make sure their supply chain is secure, make sure that they maybe have a secondary supplier, making sure that, besides, more money from a lending standpoint, what have you done to cut back on your fixed expenses? Have you looked into your insurance policies, and do you have business interruption insurance?
Yeah.
Do you have some of these things put in place? And a lot of the business owners, are looking at, well, I'll just infuse money into the business, and money will be the whole thing. Money's not every answer. It is definitely the easy answer, but we're telling customers to kind of start planning for what could be something that could last for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 more weeks. We don't know.
And as we know, not every business is going to be impacted equally. There are some sectors that are actually doing very well right now,
yes,
and others that we know are in severe pain.
Yes. No, we closed on a commercial cleaning business on Friday last week, and in talking to the seller, his sales are up significantly because all the schools that buy his supplies basically are, calling him every single day, trying to get more cleaning supplies, more solvents, more anything to basically clean the schools up. Yeah. And as well as the big, huge buildings downtown Chicago, and everywhere. What are they doing? And our buyer in that scenario was happy that it was able to close, because he basically, thinks that he can go out there and help even more people with his connections into those markets. And
so Busey is still doing acquisition loans. You're still lending. I'm assuming it's a case-by-case basis. You're looking at the sector, the fundamentals, the long-term, but you're still doing business acquisition loans.
Yeah, so we're still looking at transactions. We're still, the deals that we're in closing, we're still looking at those. We're still lending on those opportunities. We're expecting another 2 or 3 closings still this month, depending on, going back and asking the customer, how this virus is going to affect the business going forward.
Right.
And what have they done to basically help that business out in unforeseen times?
So, Steve, what can you tell us about the $50 billion SBA disaster assistance program that's been approved and in the process, I guess, of filtering down to each of the states? What do you know about it? What's happening? Is Busey set up to start distributing those funds yet? What can you tell us?
Yes. So in regards to the $50 billion that President Trump talked about last week, it basically is not going to go through individual lenders. It's going to go through the SBA disaster relief program. Anybody who's interested in getting a disaster relief loan has to go through the disaster relief center. And I've got that information here. So SBA.gov/disaster is basically where you go for, hold on one second.
So that was SBA.gov/disaster.
Yes. And I've got a www.sba.gov/disaster. So there's about 10 states that basically have been approved. Illinois is not one of them yet. Basically, what has to happen in order for the state to be approved for the program, the governor of each state has to apply for the disaster relief fund. The SBA has to approve that state, and once they're approved, businesses within that state can basically apply for the funds that are available to them. And the loan amounts range up, it will go up to $2 million, with interest rates ranging from 2.75% to 3.75%.
Are those going to be fixed interest rates, Steve, or are those going to float?
It doesn't say.
Okay.
I'm assuming it would be a fixed interest rate, but it's a direct loan from the government.
Got it.
And
is there any requirement for the use of funds? Do they have to be put towards payroll? Could they be used for anything in the business?
So what I'm reading right now is it just has to comply with federal regulations to qualify for the program. They're looking for it for, the use of funds is for payroll, for loss of revenue, for, operations of the business.
Okay, so it's a business continuity, and you don't have to. There are no special uses for it. Okay,
correct. And then there's, aside from that $50 billion, just yesterday there's been some things that have kind of been going around. If the SBA can't handle those funds, which, if you're in a government office, if the SBA is not going to be able to handle all of those applications, it's just going to bond everything up. Yeah. There's legislation that's trying to be put in place right now to increase the SBA guarantee from 75% to 90%, waive all the program fees, waive all the lender fees, increase the express lines of credit from $350,000 to $1 million.
Wow.
And that would be all the preferred lenders out there would have that ability to lend those funds out to the small businesses.
Awesome.
Awesome. That's one of the programs that, us as Busey Bank would be involved with helping our customers out.
Now, does that fit under the existing $50 billion, or this is a new proposal that has to get through the Congress?
It's a new proposal that has to get through Congress. From what I'm hearing from Nagel and from internal SBA, they're trying to put it on a fast track to kind of get it so that the SBA lenders can basically get the money out to customers.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of what Rubio was talking about this morning, was putting this lending in the hands of the people who do it every day, the preferred lenders, letting them make local decisions. I mean, trying to get everything through the SBA is just going to be a bottleneck. And so hopefully that legislation can get through quickly, because I think banks like Busey are in a perfect position to make those decisions, make them quickly, get money in people's hands.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's going to be the key, is how fast can we get the money back in the customer's hands, so that they can basically keep the doors open, keep things fluid, keep things moving along. Because if the train starts slowing down, it's hard to basically pick it back up again.
Yeah, yeah. So, Steve, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'd love to, stay in touch here, and maybe we could do another recap in a week or two and just check in and see how things are going. But like I started the interview with, you and I lived through 2008, 2009. We survived it. We came out the other side. Lessons learned, anything that you'd like to share with business owners out there and business buyers?
It's the conference call I had this morning with internal Busey Bank executives was, this is something nobody's ever gone through as far as this type of virus disaster. But what we're going to be learning from customers specifically, we're going to try and continue to pass along to other customers, is what's everybody doing to kind of prepare for this. I just talked to a automotive repair shop guy 2 days ago, and he called me for a loan deferment on his loan that I did 4 years ago when I was at US Bank. And I said, you'd have to call US Bank for that, but what else are you doing to put in your plan in place to get ahead of the curve? Mm-hmm. And he's already cut down on inventory purchases. He's already cut down on his advertising. He's already cut down on a lot of things internally that his fixed expenses were within the business. And I think that's key right now. Non-essential fixed expenses that you have, try and cut back on right now. You know, you have to hunker down, and you know, the businesses that are going to be affected and the people that are going to be affected, you know, does everybody stop going places? They're definitely going to stop going to restaurants and bars because they're closed. Automotive repair shops, you know, everybody needs to drive around, but how many people are going to drive around if we're confined to our homes for the next 2 weeks or so? So cut back on those things sooner than later. Don't wait. Do it now, and let's see what happens a couple weeks from now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, that is the right thing for each business owner to do, but it does have a ripple effect, right? So that owner that cuts back on some of those non-essential things has an impact on those companies that provide those services. And so it is going to be a ripple effect. But we did see that the companies that were prudent, but still continued to look for opportunities, made it through the recession, not unscathed, but, you know, they came through the other side.
Yes.
Folks that just, you know, buried their heads in the sand or cut themselves off completely really struggled on the other side of the recession. So, Steve.
Hey, Dominic, one more thing that just
Yeah.
came across, just for any of your customers that are down in Florida. Florida just came out with a small business emergency bridge loan application, which it looks like, just from reading it for 2 seconds, it would be repaid back by an SBA disaster loan, other federal aid, insurance proceeds, or bank loan. It looks like it's could be up to $100,000. Florida SBDC, so Small Business Development Corp, network headquarters in Pensacola, Florida, is who's originating that. I'll send you an email for that. It looks like applicants may submit applications and required documents to disaster@floridasbdc.org.
One more time, Steve.
disaster@floridasbdc.org.
Okay. And we will include this in the notes when we post this video, which we're hoping to post later today or early tomorrow morning. Steve, if folks wanted to reach you at Busey, what's the best place for them to get a hold of you?
They could reach me, you know, via email at Steve, Steve.Lasiewicz, LASIEWICZ @busey.com. Or they can reach me at my office at 630-237-2605. 630-237-2605.
Hey, Steve, really appreciate you carving out some time. I know that things are crazy at the bank right now, but I think this is really important to get out to folks, help them in any way that we can. Unprecedented. I referred to 2008 a couple of times. You know, it feels like that, but it's not that. It is different. We're in uncharted waters, and we'll just have to see how this unfolds. But I have every confidence that we'll get to the other side, and hopefully the government acts quickly and swiftly, and there's enough relief funds out there to help folks get through this.
Yeah, stay healthy, Dominic.
You too. Thanks, Steve.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.